Thank you all for joining us today. I am Jasmine Garrett here with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Today's session is an informational overview on the New Jersey Manufacturing Voucher Program, MVP, Phase 3. Now to get us started with the presentation, I will shift things over to NJEDA's Team Lead of Tax Credits and Incentives, Ivan Mendez. Ivan?
Thank you, Jasmine, and good afternoon, everyone. We're also joined today by our EVP of the Manufacturing Incentive and Tax Credit Group, Paul Seppi, and also our Managing Director, Matthew Abraham. We are extremely excited and grateful for the Governor and the Legislature's commitment in providing an additional $10 million in funding to support and attract such a vital industry as manufacturing. The Governor has emphasized the need for New Jersey to become more economically resilient and self-sufficient. Supporting manufacturing through programs like the MVP helps ensure that state's manufacturing sector remains strong in the face of challenges, including supply chain disruptions and global competition. We're all very excited to have the opportunity to bring you another round of the New Jersey Manufacturing Voucher Program. With that said, I want to introduce Lube Alexowski, Product Owner of NJ MVP Phase 3.
Thank you so much for that, Ivan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lube Alexowski. I am an analyst with the Manufacturing Incentives and Tax Credits team and the current NJ MVP product owner. I'm more than happy to present the New Jersey Manufacturing Voucher Program Phase 3 for today's webinar. NJ MVP is designed to support manufacturers in targeted industries by providing financial assistance for the acquisition of equipment aimed at enhancing production efficiency. Phase 3 of the program has been allocated $10 million, as Ivan mentioned, and offers grants that cover 30% to up to 50% of the eligible equipment costs with a maximum grant of $250,000 per company. Applications will be accepted on a rolling basis until all allocated funds are committed. The program specifically encourages companies engaged in advanced manufacturing, such as those utilizing robotics, additive manufacturing, and other cutting-edge technologies to apply. Now, in addition to the core grant, businesses can qualify for stackable bonuses ranging from 5 to 10%. Okay. If your manufacturing location where the proposed equipment will be installed falls within an Opportunity Zone eligible census tract, you qualify for an additional bonus of 5%. To check if your location is eligible, use our mapping tool on the webpage or verify during the application process. Other bonuses are for New Jersey certifications of women, minority, veteran, disabled veteran-owned businesses, and to obtain these bonuses, benefit from these bonuses, please upload certifications during the application process. If you have at least one active and valid collective bargaining agreement in place, you can potentially be eligible for an additional 5% bonus. Manufacturers with 50 or less full-time equivalent employees are also eligible for an additional 5% bonus. Lastly, there is a 10% bonus if you purchase your manufacturing equipment from a New Jersey manufacturer or assembler. This bonus does not apply to distributors or suppliers that do not assemble or manufacture in New Jersey. Moving on, here's a great illustration of how the program offers enhanced support for small businesses with fewer than 100 full-time employees. These companies are eligible to receive reimbursement of up to 50% of their eligible equipment costs, providing a greater incentive to invest in productivity-enhancing technologies. In contrast, larger companies, those with more than 100 employees, are capped at a reimbursement rate of 40%. Now, to qualify for the program, projects must meet a minimum total cost of $25,000, ensuring that both small and large manufacturers can benefit from substantial investments in new or advanced equipment. Okay. Moving on, we're going to touch on some eligibility requirements. Manufacturers must be registered in the state of New Jersey and be in good standing with our sister agencies, meeting tax, labor, and environmental requirements. Applicants must be applying for projects that they haven't committed to, supplying quotes for the equipment that they wanted to be awarded for at the time of application. The program also prohibits purchasing equipment prior to application and provides strict guidelines for the disbursement of funds. As you can see, for-profit and not-for-profit companies are eligible, but home-based businesses are not. Equipment must be installed in a New Jersey location and can be either new or used. Manufacturers must be in a targeted industry, or if not in a targeted industry, the equipment procured must meet the definition of advanced manufacturing, and we'll touch on that in the coming slides. Moving along with some additional eligibility requirements. So the program does include the costs of installation, but please be aware, if any contracts are issued for plumbers, electricians, or carpenters, or any other construction trades for the installation of equipment that is greater than $2,000, then it is subject to prevailing wage law set by the Labor Department. If you have any questions on this, please visit our webpage at www.njeda.gov/MVP3 and click on the Labor Compliance tab to avoid any loss of incentives for non-compliance. Now, the equipment must be used in the manufacturing process. Items such as forklifts, trucks, solar panels, or HVAC systems are some of the examples of equipment that are not eligible for this program. Now, new to MVP3, to ensure equitable access to funding, Phase 3 applications will be prioritized for new applicants who have not previously or will not be awarded grants under Phase 1 or Phase 2 based on employment identification number during the initial 2-week application period. Following this period, all eligible businesses will have the opportunity to apply for funding subject to available resources. Okay. Here is a list of the targeted industries that NJMVP covers. So under NJMVP, a non-targeted company could apply for the incentive if the manufacturing equipment that is being purchased fits within the definition or example to follow. Advanced manufacturing industries include, but are not limited to, activities that integrate advanced or innovative technologies, processes, and materials to improve the manufacturing of products. Such activities include research, development, commercialization, and the implementation of new manufacturing methods and processes that utilize technology or other innovative methodologies, including both physical equipment and software supporting advanced production. Examples of advanced manufacturing technologies include additive manufacturing technologies, computer-aided manufacturing, the utilization of advanced sensors and robotics to improve production, and the development of advanced materials to support production. And with that note, I would like to pass it to my colleague and project officer here at the NJEDA for the MVP team, Gene Palermo.
Thank you, Lou. As Lou mentioned, my name is Gene Palermo. I'm a project officer with the Manufacturing Incentives and Tax Credits team. And also, for all intents and purposes of this webinar, I am also the co-owner of MVP3. So at the time of application, a non-refundable application fee of $1,000 will be required. After submission, companies are expected to adhere to strict deadlines for submitting all documents related to the equipment purchase. Once approved and the grant is executed, applicants will have 12 months to ensure the delivery and installation of the equipment. If needed, applicants will be allowed up to 2 additional 6-month periods. If these extensions are needed and are granted, companies must remain in compliance with the company's requirements to avoid delays in receiving funds. The New Jersey Manufacturing Voucher Program also includes recapture provisions to ensure that companies benefiting from the program maintain their operations in New Jersey. So if a company decides to relocate or move approved equipment out of New Jersey within the first 3 years of receiving the grant, they will be required to repay a portion of the funds. So the amount that is to be repaid is based on the time elapsed since the grant was awarded, with the recapture percentage decreasing over the 3-year period. This provision ensures that the program financial benefits remain aligned with the state's economic goals. So when you do apply, you will submit an application through the portal found on the website. Again, that website is www.njeda.gov/MVP3, along with the submission of the $1,000 non-refundable application fee. Be sure to note the manufacturing equipment must not be purchased before submitting the application. If the equipment is purchased after submission and before NJEDA's approval, this will be at the applicant's own risk and not guaranteed for funding. Approved applicants must place purchase orders for the specified equipment within 30 days after the grant agreement has been executed. There's also a 30-day extension available to be granted if needed to submit these purchase orders. The application launch date is still yet to be announced. We will post that date on our website once available. And if you want to stay up to date on any of the updates involving MVP3, feel free to join our mailing list, which is also found on the website. So when it comes to the application, there is some items that and documents that will be needed included. So along with a valid and unexpired tax clearance certification, there's a list of items that will be needed during submission. So the New Jersey State certifications of minority, women-owned business enterprises, small business enterprises, veteran-owned business. So those certifications through the NJ Treasury, which you can get at business.nj.gov, will be needed as proof for those 5% bonuses. Just keep in mind, this has to be through the NJ Treasury because all federal and private certifications will not be accepted. The next document is a most recent quarterly New Jersey WR30 submission, which will be needed for the applicants looking to apply as a small business. This means less than 100 full-time employees, and this will serve as verification of the company's employment scale, and then also allowing them to raise their max award from the 40% up to the 50%. Of course, still not to exceed 250,000. So if applicants are also looking for the collective bargaining agreement bonus, which is 5%, a copy of the most current and executed collective bargaining agreement will be needed. For applicants seeking 5% for the less than 50 full-time employee bonus, they will also need to fill out an NJ MVP employee log, and that can be found directly on the MVP3 website. All applications will need to provide quotes and/or third-party equipment cost justifications to verify the costs applicants have placed on their application. It is imperative to note that projects for which a contract has been executed, a purchase order has been issued, or a deposit has been made prior to the submission of an application will be deemed ineligible for funding consideration. Again, applicants are granted a 12-month timeframe for delivery and installation of the specified equipment from the date of the executed grant agreement, and can be granted 2 additional 6-month increments contingent upon necessity and prior to the disbursement of funds. Okay, so labor compliance. So when is registration with the New Jersey Department of Labor's Public Works contractor, the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act, and the affirmative action required? So when is this required? When the project is expected to involve construction, reconstruction, demolition, custom fabrication, repair work, or maintenance work, including painting and decorating, with construction costs of $2,000 or more using contractors such as plumbers, electricians, or carpenters, or any other trades for the purpose of installing the equipment. The project will be required to comply with the New Jersey Department's Labor Public Works Contractor Registration Act, the New Jersey Prevailing Wage Act, and affirmative action. So what does this mean? Those contractors that will be involved in a project when the installation is $2,000 or more must be able to provide a CRC or a construction contractor registration certification, and they also must participate in an apprenticeship program. In these cases, compliance with the regulations is essential. So more details around this please visit www.njeda.gov/affirmative action. Okay, on to the awards and reimbursement. MVP allows companies to submit multiple requests for equipment in a single application. However, it is important to note that the total grant awarded will not exceed $250,000. Please be sure the total project costs. Also be sure that the project cost of the total project is more than $25,000. Upon receiving approval, applicants are required to place a purchase order for the specified equipment within 30 days from the grant's execution. After that, applicants will have 12 months for the delivery and installation of the equipment, with the option to extend this timeline by 2 additional periods of 6 months prior to the disbursement of funds. Disbursement of funds will occur in a single award upon submission of verifiable proof that the equipment has been delivered and installed at the facility located in Jersey. It is crucial to understand that the program strictly prohibits the addition or modification of equipment that was not included on the original application. However, there is a degree of flexibility that is permitted if the equipment, if the equipment requested is of similar nature to that which was initially applied for, then the change would be accepted. For example, on this, if an original application requested a Sony television and the applicant now wishes to purchase a 4K LG television, this would be okay. But let's say they're requesting to substitute a printer for that Sony television, that's not going to be okay. Additionally, while the program does not permit applicants to change the vendor from where the equipment is purchased, keep in mind that such changes may impact the eligibility bonus associated with purchasing from a New Jersey manufacturer. So once you're ready for disbursement and you have approval of your application, and an installation is done, you're going to need to provide proof of payment and of the proof of installation. Following documents will then be required. So a New Jersey manufacturing disbursement requisition form and certification form will be, and this is going to be provided during the closing process, that will be needed. All the paid invoices detailing the purchase of the equipment. Equipment lease agreement or equipment finance agreement. So this is if you're financing the equipment. The current tax clearance certificate. Please keep in mind that all the tax clearance certificates are only valid for 180 days. So you might need to, you might be requested to send us an updated copy at time of disbursement. And then also ACH bank information. That is the account number, routing number, and this can be verified by using a bank statement, bank letter, or voided check. For the labor compliance side, either a contractor release letter confirming that the project is in full compliance, or a no construction acknowledgement letter will be needed. And finally, the proof of installation, and that will include an NJEDA certification of installation at the New Jersey location and the packing slip showing the delivery address of that equipment. So here is a visual representation of the MVP program. The timeline from submission to the of an application to the final reimbursement can vary significantly. So it can take anywhere from several months to 2 years. So the reason behind this variability, and it's influenced by several factors, and that's including the applicant's timely submission of all outstanding documents, the completion of the background checks by our associated sister agencies, and any unforeseen challenges related to the procurement, delivery, and installation of the equipment. We are committed to diligently processing each application with the utmost efficiency and appreciate your assistance and cooperation throughout this process. That will conclude our presentation.
Matt and Ivan, if you would like to begin your live Q&A portion.
Thank you, Jasmine. Matt and myself have been answering questions on the live Q&A. Very happy to see some very, very good questions.
So it looks like we have 12 questions open. So I can go ahead and moderate for you guys. It was research and development to know whether the robot stencil will work for our purposes. It's more of a statement.
Yeah, I think it was a follow-up to a previous question that I had posed with regards to the cost of whether or not this piece of equipment would work for their facility. I think this might require additional due diligence on our side, so please email us directly at njmvp@njeda.gov to resolve this, to make sure that we give you the correct answers.
Perfect. When will the waitlist period for award of phase 2 applications be finalized? Can you provide a fixed termination date for phase 2 wait applicants?
Great question. Right now, we have started addressing the phase 2 wait list, and we're addressing those applications in the order they were received. Although we have started, there is no fixed timeline that we can provide applicants when their wait list application will get reviewed, as we review those as funds become available, and there is no control as to that happens.
Perfect. Next question. If we purchase an equipment from a New Jersey-based company going out of business, does that qualify as a New Jersey supplier for the extra bonus?
So for the bonus, it's not suppliers, it has to be a distributor or an assembler. If it's just a distribution company, they would not qualify for the bonus. And the bonus is very specific for other manufacturers that are here located in the state of New Jersey, or those that actually assemble here in New Jersey. And yes, even if those assemblers or manufacturers were going out of business, as long as we could validate that they are actually manufacturing or assembling here in New Jersey, then we would provide you that bonus.
Our packaging company focuses on hiring ex-convict/halfway house employees, WOTC hires, to give them a second chance in employment and earning a living. Would NJEDA recognize this as part of the 5%, 10% bonus program?
While we do have programs that gives bonus for WOTC hires, MVP does not have that bonus available.
Perfect. How does this program work if you finance instead of purchase?
Yeah, we allow for either one of those scenarios. So whether you're purchasing it or you're financing it, you can still apply for MVP3. We would just look at your lease agreement and make sure we monetize the full amount to make sure you receive the correct award amount. We also, just in addition, we do also offer financing available through NJEDA for fixed assets like equipment. And so if there is a need for assistance beyond just MVP and we need some financing on equipment, please reach out to us as well. We'll make sure we connect you to one of our business banking specialists.
Is proof of installation only required if a third party is hired and we've applied to be reimbursed for labor? If installation will be done in-house after delivery, do we need to worry about proof of installation?
Great question, and that's a two-part answer. Proof of installation is going to be required whether it's a third-party company or whether your own employees are installing the equipment. In addition, I think the question is asking about labor compliance. So if your own employees install the equipment, then you will not be subject to prevailing wage law. If it's a third-party company that's pulling contracts over the amount of $2,000, then prevailing wage does kick in. However, if it's the actual manufacturer who's installing the equipment and no contracts are being pulled, then prevailing wage law will not apply to that. And if although it is a sensitive subject, please email us at njmvp@njeda.gov for a specific scenario.
Yeah, and just to clarify what Ivan said, the installation, we only reimburse installation when it's done by either the manufacturer who's actually doing the installation for you, or if you're actually hiring outside company, third-party company to do the installation. If it's your own employees doing the installation, that's not a reimbursable cost.
How can I get more detailed clarification of the targeted industries? We are a food and beverage packaging manufacturer, box packaging. Would that qualify for the category of non-retail food and beverage?
We have a link in our webpage that speaks to the direct definition of non-retail food and beverage. And as described, it would qualify as non-retail food and beverage.
Right. And if you do have any additional questions, go to our webpage at njeda.gov/MVP, NJMVP3. If you have additional questions, please reach out to us, email us directly, and we'll also respond that way as well.
Do software programming costs count if they are related to the manufacturing process? Do computers and iPads, etc., also count if we plan to use them for the process?
Computers and iPads are not eligible for MVP. However, the software, as long as it's used directly in the manufacturing process, will be a reimbursable cost. And there is a definition that includes the software on our webpage under the advanced manufacturing definition.
Yeah, I would say majority of times it's those ERP systems that actually put lot and block number or lot numbers on, and as well as manufacturing date on the packaging itself. Anytime those are used within that manufacturing process, that software, then that's reimbursable. However, if it's just laptops, computers, or iPads, they're not.
Would you guys cover implementing an ERP system which will provide significant support in keeping our home operations based in New Jersey?
We would, just to piggyback off of the previous question, we would if that ERP system is being used within the manufacturing process. So life science companies often use it, or food and non-retail food and beverage companies use it to identify their batches as they're in the manufacturing process. So if it's within that manufacturing process, then ERPs are reimbursable and an eligible equipment item. However, if it's just to maintain your customer database and invoicing, then no. It has to be used within the manufacturing process.
When will the grant be awarded and when can we purchase the equipment?
You can purchase the equipment after the submission of an application with caution to labor compliance law as it relates to the installation of the equipment. And what's the other part of that question, Jasmine?
When can we, you answered it, when can we purchase the equipment?
Okay.
Yep. For advanced manufacturing category, does the equipment have to be nailed down at location? In other words, can it be test equipment in a rack or not in a rack?
Matt, you on this one?
Yeah, so test equipments tend not to be what we would consider within the manufacturing process. You would have to really provide us some details around how you would think that test equipment is used in your manufacturing process. And we're more than happy to review it even now ahead of time if that's the case. But normally we don't allow for like research or any of the test equipment prior to having it used within the manufacturing process.
Should we include rigging in our quote? And if it is over $2,000, does it fall under the prevailing wage?
I would say yes, you should. If it is over 2,000, then yes, it would be prevailing wage. Would require it to comply within prevailing wage. But Ivan, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's what I'm going to say.
Oh.
What is the likelihood of those who already received funding getting another round?
It's hard to say. While we cannot say what the likelihood is going to be in phase 3, what we can do is provide context of what we saw in phase 1 and phase 2. So in phase 1, we had a total initial allocation of $20 million, and the program was oversubscribed in within 2 to 3 days. Phase 2, we had a $20 million allocation, and the program was oversubscribed within 2 days. So if that's any indication of phase 3, then that's our answer. Although we are hopeful, and if in the event that there is funding still remaining, or if we receive funding from another source, that's when applicants would be able to apply.
For those of us who did get funds in phase 1, I understand that for phase 3, we have to wait for 2 weeks after the application opens in January or February. Will we have to get a tax clearance while we're waiting, perhaps only to discover that funds are gone?
You don't have to get the tax clearance during the wait period. We'll accept it after you apply. So if it provides some comfort, it could be done. However, I will say the tax clearance certificate that has no cost. It's just a matter of a couple of minutes on the taxation website to download it. So either way, you could wait.
What if the final quote is different from the quote used for application?
Okay, great question. So the final, we would always reimburse based off the lesser of what is on the quote and what is on the actual application. So please be very careful how you fill the application out. In addition, the final invoice versus what was applied for. If, for example, the company, if the quote was for $100,000, but then the final paid invoice only cost the company $90,000, then the reimbursement will be based off the actual final paid amount and not what was approved.
Will replacing a concrete floor in production a facility qualify?
So typically, no, because that's outside of the manufacturing process. Now typically the flooring, walls and all usually does not meet the eligibility criteria. And that's more of a general statement, but Ivan, do you have any additional?
Yeah, that's considered more infrastructure to a certain extent. And NJMVP was designed to reimburse on the actual manufacturing equipment directly used in manufacturing process. And although we recognize that a concrete pad is essential to housing some equipment, it's more closely defined to be installation related.
Right, infrastructure related, correct. So same thing with energy consumption. A lot of companies want to put solar panels on to reduce their costs of energy. That's more of an infrastructure. Whether you're for some of the beverage companies, maybe they want to use outside type of water to filter in filtration systems. If it's within the manufacturing process, that's fine. However, if it sits outside as an infrastructure type of installation, then that would not be eligible.
Follow up on finance questions. So if we finance, your program will cover up to 50% of the monthly finance costs for the life of the loan, or is it structured differently?
It would be the total cost of the equipment that we look at, and we'd provide up to 50% for small businesses, and any businesses with 100 employees or more, up to 40% of reimbursable costs. So if the equipment was $100,000, regardless of if you finance it or if you purchase it outright, we would look at the cost as $100,000.
And in addition, as it relates to the finance or lease agreements, we will require as a post-compliance requirement that that lease or finance agreement be supplied for the entire 3-year recapture period to ensure that the company is in good standing with that agreement.
And the intent, sorry, just to clarify one more, the intent is hopefully that you would use our funds to pay down on the cost of the equipment.
We are a fabricator of multiple type of widgets, products. Some of them are used by manufacturers included in the target industries. Would we be considered as part of the target industries?
So if that equipment that you're purchasing is considered advanced manufacturing, yes.
Our company does repackaging, which requires pretty large investments for the machinery. Does this grant apply for that type of equipment?
Yes. So while the company itself is not considered to be in a target industry, much like the previous answer that Matt replied to, the equipment must be considered to be advanced manufacturing in order to be eligible.
Right. So let's take, for an example, a plush toy manufacturer. Although they're not in a targeted industry, they could be purchasing a piece of equipment that's considered advanced manufacturing. That therefore would make that equipment eligible and the applicant eligible to apply for the program.
For prevailing wage, if the manufacturer hires the installer, third party, not its own employees, and includes this install part of the contract, does prevailing wage apply?
Yes, if their contract is more than $2,000, then prevailing wage would apply, and it would also be a reimbursable cost.
Yeah, I missed the question, so thanks. Just to clarify on prevailing wage as well, just in general. Anytime there's contracts being pulled, whether it's like electrician, plumbers, any of those trade jobs and those contracts are over $2,000, prevailing wage applies. So please be aware. So even if you have a contractor from an out of state and they're going in and doing electric work, they'll have to comply with the prevailing wage rules. So please review that before hiring. Make sure you ask those questions prior to having your contractor do any work. We do set up internal meetings with our labor compliance department with applicants that are approved to ensure that their contractor meets with our labor compliance officers, so they have a full understanding of what is required before they trip up any type of prevailing wage issues and become ineligible for the award. So that's very critical.
Can you confirm if the project amount minimum 25,000, maximum 250,000 can include multiple types of equipment, multiple suppliers and installers?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes. Yeah, there is no restriction on the amount of equipment you can put on the application, so long that the minimum project is at the very minimum $25,000, and a project is defined to be both the cost of the equipment and installation.
If we're upgrading our ERP system to allow for additional capabilities and cloud access, is it covered under the fundings as well?
We would really have to drill down to understand what the upgrades are for, if it's being used within the manufacturing process or not. But however, if the ERP system is just to be able to maintain back office support, then it would be no.
Where on your site is the sign up for the email notification?
We'll let Jean. You're on mute, Jean.
I believe Erica said that they put the link up in the general chat and not in the Q&A.
Yes, that is correct. I put the Microsoft Forms.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was the question? I was answering some of the questions in the chat there. My apologies.
No worries. It was resolved. Thank you.
Okay.
When will the sample application be available, and when is it? And when is it? Will it be clearly stated what documents are required to submit along with the application. On your website, it states sample application coming soon.
Great question. We're working with our developers right now on designing the actual application, and as soon as that part is complete, we will be posting a sample application. And our goal is to make sure that that sample application is up well before the actual live date.
Yeah, I would say there are only minor updates from our previous program from MVP 2 to 3. So if you wanted to go to our webpage at www.njeda.gov/MVP2 and look at the previous application, it also has a list of documentation. It could also set you up. However, we are targeting, hopefully, if the developers are completed, hope to have some of our sample application for MVP 3 up by the end of this year, by December. Oh, which is next month. Oh, goodness, in November.
If we purchase some manufacturing equipment that is typically used in applications that are not considered advanced manufacturing, but we intend to use it in a new novel way, can that be considered advanced manufacturing? This new process has never been done anywhere in the world.
Okay, if I'm understanding the question correctly, so we can go back to the whole definition of targeted industry and advanced manufacturing. So in general, if an applicant is considered to be in a targeted industry, then the manufacturing equipment that they're soliciting through this program does not need to meet the definition of advanced manufacturing. However, if we take into account the example that Matt gave of that plush manufacturer, they're not considered to be in a target industry. However, as long as that equipment that they're soliciting is considered to be advanced manufacturing, then that will be eligible. So to give more context into advanced manufacturing, not only do we have the exact definition posted on our website under targeted industries link, if there's any sort of automation or computer or things of that nature involved in that equipment, then it generally is eligible.
If we have equipment that requires extraction as part of installation, is the cost of extraction installation eligible along with the equipment itself?
What's being extracted is probably, it'd be good to understand, Christopher. So if you want to email us over at njmvp@njeda.gov and detail that out to us, we'll provide you a better answer.
If it's determined after application that the third party doesn't comply with prevailing wage, will we still be reimbursed for the equipment but not for installation?
No, if this is critical to understand. Prevailing wage is it's a requirement of the program. It's also within our statute within EDA. So we can't skirt prevailing wage in any form. So if you do not meet prevailing wage requirements, then we would be ineligible, and we would be unable to provide you the incentive, making your project ineligible.
Yeah, so to provide an example there, if a company applied for both equipment and installation cost, and then later asked us that they want to forego the reimbursement on the installation cost portion, then that would make the entire application ineligible. As Matt alluded to, just because we're not reimbursing on the installation, if that installation is deemed to have otherwise subject to prevailing wage, then whether we're reimbursing on it or not, it would require it to follow the PW law. And for context, this is a Department of Labor law,
Right.
That we're subject to, that we have to follow.
That's right. We have to adhere to Department of Labor, so we don't have any wiggle room, nor do we make any type of provisions around it. So that's why it's so very strict that you meet those standards and that requirement.
Is there a deadline for application phase 3?
Well, yeah, so once the application goes live, we advise that you go on that same day immediately to apply. So the deadline is as soon as funds run out or are allocated.
We are a packaging company in the cosmetic/fragrance industry interested in purchasing more advanced packaging/fill equipment. Would this fall within the targeted industries?
It wouldn't be a targeted industry, it would be considered advanced manufacturing, and therefore the advanced manufacturing equipment would be eligible.
When is the go live date for phase 3?
We're working on releasing that as soon as possible. We're still targeting January, early February, but we'll be sure there will be a press release surrounding that live date once it is established. And we want to make sure that everybody is aware of that date when we do settle on it.
Okay. And the last question, which is not really a question, it's more of a statement. I just want to say that you all have been extremely generous with your time and knowledge. This is a hugely helpful webinar, and your patience is truly appreciated.
Thank you to everybody. We're more than happy to and very excited to host this third round and help as many companies as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we didn't get to your question, or if you have additional questions, please reach out to us at njmvp@njeda.gov, and we'll make sure we answer your questions there. We do appreciate it. This has been a very successful program. I think, as Ivan had mentioned earlier in the program, we're very excited that another round was created for it. As far as a fourth round, I believe someone who was asking, it's all based on appropriation from the state. So it depends on the budget next year. So we're a budget appropriation. So we don't know if there will be a fourth round or not, but we're hopeful.
Amazing. Matt, did you want to close it out?
Appreciate everyone joining us today. As I mentioned, it's been exciting, the first 2 phases, and we are really looking forward to phase 3 and getting this up, just providing you all the information on our webpage as soon as possible. And as Ivan had mentioned, we'll put the date of when we'll be launching this. We are targeting the end of January or early February as our target date, but those are just targets. We are working with developers, but we really appreciate you manufacturers here in the state of New Jersey. We really want to help you continue to strive and be successful here in New Jersey. Appreciate you joining us today. And like I said, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.